Welcome to the Borderless Podcast, your guide to traveling, investing, and living beyond borders, where we talk about living the life that you want to live, where you want to live it.
Okay, everybody, welcome to another Borderless Podcast. This is James Guzman, and I am your host. And today we're talking about vacation rentals. Now, I have a friend of mine who started only a few years ago, and he now has over 70 vacation rentals. He's really just, crushing it over there with that very quickly. The guy's young. And so I wanted to talk to him a little bit about how he was able to set that up. I think he did a good job with that. And to go into it, I'm going to play a little portion of a show called Sense of Place that he was on, and also Matt Landau. I'm part of Matt Landau's inner circle of vacation rentals. So I would recommend, going out and checking Matt Landau stuff, the vacation rental marketing blog, if you're interested in that, getting into vacation rentals at all. And so I met Borja through this inner circle group, and I thought our discussion was really good. Vacation rentals is something that, even if you don't have a specific house dedicated toward it, I think it's interesting to, stay on top of this market because, you may want to rent out your house. You may want to use a vacation rental in the future. And I just think it's a good market to watch. All of us, the tech savvy people, we want to stay in touch of the new business trends, living trends, stuff like that. And you can do all kinds of things. Now, if you have a decent place, then if you go on vacation, you can actually rent out your place if you want on one of these vacation sites and stuff like that. So, there's a lot of different options and things like that, and a lot of software and new technology that's coming in the market to make it easier than ever, for a lot of people. So I thought it was a great discussion, and there were two asks I have for you today. So the first one is my retirement rehab. Now, I have had a lot of people, probably the biggest concern that people have that listen to this show are people that they're at retirement, close to it, or they have already retired, but they do not have they don't have what they thought they would at the time. And so they're trying to figure out how are they going to retire with the lifestyle that they want without working until the day that they die, right? There's been a lot of things that have led us up to where we are today, and especially what you call the baby boomer generation, have had a lot of things where now they don't have as much as they thought they would. They're not getting the returns that they want, and so I have a sponsor now, and this is great because I'm able to recommend him to all the people that always ask me about what are they going to do? A lot of people that are really worried about this, and this is Ian Bond, and he has put together My Retirement Rehab. And basically right now what he's offering is the No Nest Egg Retirement Plan. It's an online video course, and I will go through some of the things that he talks to you about, see if that's interesting to you. Determine your perfect day or how you really want to spend your time. Create cash flow through right-sizing and rationalizing expenses. Craft an optimal debt strategy to become debt-free. Identify a low-cost location to escape to, domestic or international. Develop a disaster fund isolated from your other money. Secure your retirement account in a safe place away from big custodians and other risks. Speak to your spouse and family and have them excited about the future. Develop specific strategies to lengthen your corporate career and keep your income at a high level. Change your mindset from one of employee to entrepreneur. Learn how wealth has been historically been created and where to create it in today's new economy. Identify new business opportunities available to drive your income outside your day job today. So that is a few of them. A lot of other things. Ian Bond has been working in the financial industry for a lot of the big firms for decades, and he has, through different methods and without doing what you're always sold to by the traditional finance people, he has been able to secure his retirement. And so now he is teaching others how to do the same in this new environment. So definitely go over there, myretirementrehab.me. And he likes the show. He's been a follower of the show for a while. So please go support him, and he will help you get yourself together, get your financial stuff together. And let me know how it goes with that, please. And also the second one, since we're talking about vacation rentals, Please, if you're going to start doing stuff like that, or if you just want to try out Airbnb, use my link. I'm going to have it in the description. You'll get money off. You get $40 off the first time you use it. So if you're thinking about hosting, if you're thinking about traveling with Airbnb, you want to try out some vacation rental stuff, just please use my link and that'll help me out. All right. Well, I think that you'll really enjoy this one, and thanks for listening. So here we go.
Borderless.
I gotta be honest, not long ago I knew next to nothing about Marbella as a vacation destination. I knew it was in southern Spain, and I knew it was on the coast, but that's about it. So when I arrived at the nearby Malaga train station from an incredible night in Madrid, I'd be meeting Borja Rodriguez, a native of the area and one of the most forward-thinking vacation rental professionals in Spain. I was pretty intent on letting Borja tell me exactly what to do, but in the end, he teach me much more than that.
So, welcome. We are going to our beautiful penthouse. The apartment, it's pretty nice, but the best thing by far you will see the views. There is you can see some of the views here. So that is all the coast of Malaga, Old Town.
Wow.
So you can see many villages in a row. And as in a clear day, you can see Morocco as well, so you can see Africa.
We met at the vacation rental where I'd be staying, one of about 70 properties that Borja's company, Vacation Marbella, manages. The rental complex was located about 100 meters from the Mediterranean Sea.
Wow.
This is a showstopper of the apartment.
This is a showstopper.
Yeah. Happy you like
amazing.
it.
Wow.
Nice. It's such a peaceful place.
So this is a main tourist area?
Yeah.
Or primary residential?
Yeah, tourist area. A lot of tourists come over, especially in summertime. We have the marina. It's probably the most famous sea-scalable marina in Spain.
Right here.
It's called Puerto Banús. Just 100
Amazing.
meters away.
And we got a grill.
Yeah. So you can enjoy,
And I could do my laps out here?
Yeah.
Can you just go out and swim?
Yeah, 100%.
This is beautiful, my friend.
Yeah, you like it?
How long have you had this vacation rental?
Actually, we signed this property last month.
Wow.
So we just renovated. Everything is brand new.
Show me around. I'm curious. It looks amazing.
Actually, you're going to be our first guest.
What was totally unexpected about my vacation rental for the next few days was the level of standards and the business savvy that Borja injects into pretty much everything that he does.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. I'm talking to Borja Rodriguez, and he is the CEO of VacationMarbella.com. And thanks a lot for coming on the call with me today.
Thank you, James. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Yeah, good. If you don't mind, if you could just go over. Now, I was just really impressed because, first of all, a lot of people have been interested in the subletting vacation rentals model. I did a video on it, and it got a lot of hits. And so I wanted to talk to you about it because you've been very successful with that model. But before we get to that, I wanted to ask you maybe if you could just explain a little bit about your background and what brought you to this business.
Okay. Well, pretty much I'm a guy from southern Spain. So I study in the US. I studied university there. So I left Spain when I was 17. And after the US, I moved to Asia. So I've been working as a private banker in Singapore and Hong Kong for 7 years. And then when I was 29, I got an age where I thought hey, is this what I want to do for a living all my life? Or I want to have, my own company. I want to be my own boss. So I decided to quit my banking career in end of 2014. I moved back to Spain. And I have this business idea of holiday rental since I live in the US, since I studied there. So I decided to set up the company in 2015, and we have been running the company now for 2 years and a half.
Right. So you've had your vacation rental company for 2 years and a half, and you have 73 units already?
Yeah. So we are managing 70 property plus at the moment. In the beginning, when we started the company, we were, just charging a commission to every landlord, 20% commission, and then, we manage everything for them. Some point, we believe, after the feedback of the guests, like many times we felt like we were not that flexible in terms of when we had a problem, we always have to discuss with the landlord, if we can purchase this or we have to repair this. So we felt like we could do much better than that. So after the first year, I decided to, renegotiate with some of the landlords our fees. So we were offering to pay them, a fixed amount every year, paying ahead the first year, and then getting a discount for that. So that completely changed, the direction of the company. Why is because of we are much more flexible now. We make more money. We can play much more with the pricing, with the minimum estates. We can, every time we have an issue, we fix it straight away. So at the end of the day, I see, like many benefits on it. The big thing here is getting, how you pay all these apartments up front and, decoration, because at the same time, one of the issues we have here in the south of Spain is the fact that there are many good apartments in really well located, but the decoration is very old, or the maintain of the apartment is not that good. So we have to, many times we try to rent properties which are unfurnished. So then we make all the interior design, decoration. We really, I would say, like, we completely changed our property from being a kind of old-fashioned property to a very modern, contemporary property.
Yeah, and I want to get to the financing aspect of it, but I also thought it was very interesting that in that short amount of time, not only have you, gotten all these units, but you've also set up, what seems to me to be like a scalable business that you don't even need to be part of anymore. I mean, basically, your business is running on its own now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, definitely. In the beginning, to be honest, I was using my own savings. Since I was a banker, I was saving some money. So it's how I started the company. And the good thing is the first year when we decided to change the model of the company, we're still doing pretty good. So, since I'm a young guy, I don't need big money to live. I was paying to myself like a small salary. So I was saving like quite big money. And it gave me enough money, to rent other properties. And then it was like a snowball. Like we rented out a few properties. They were working pretty good. Occupation was really high. The margin was quite high. So it gave me the chance to keep, renting more and more properties. So, it was pretty much like that. Like one thing gets to another. First year was pretty good. And then, after that, we got enough money, to keep growing. Said that, you cannot always grow as fast as you want. Even if we got more than 70 properties today, just because of the money is not unlimited. So every year, I have a budget where, I know how much money I can invest. I would say, for example, 2016, we got many properties, but they were, I would say, medium high class properties, while this year, 2017 and now 2018, we are more focused on, okay, let's grow not that fast, but we're gonna, rent like really top properties. So now we're moving from medium high quality properties to really top properties, I would say.
And how many staff members do you have right now? Like full-time staff?
Right now we are 16 employees, which I think is a lot for the size we have.
Yeah.
But the reason, because we have many employees, that counts like marketing department, revenue department. Like we just hired the revenue manager of a 5-star hotel. We have 5 maids. We have 5 cleaning ladies, 2 handymans who are helping, with any reparation. We have like concierge team. So it's a little bit like we see this as a long-term business, long-term focus. So I'm trying to hire the best people. So that's why I'm hiring a lot of staff from 5-star hotels. At the same time, I believe like they can teach me a lot, because I try to be quite, modest in terms of like, hey, I'm an expert banker. I don't have any hospitality background. So it's good to be surrounded by people who has been doing this for a while.
That's great, man. And you hire people that know what they're doing, and now you just kind of like, have to manage them, but you're pretty much like hands off with the operations, right? I mean, you have systems in place and all that. Huh?
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning when I started the company, it was just me and 2 cleaning ladies. And now everything has changed a lot. Actually, last year I was managing all the booking departments. So I was every day replying, I don't know, like Airbnb inquiries, like Booking.com, TripAdvisor, Expedia. And some point I thought like, hey, it's time to, move forward. So this, I would say last quarter of 2017 and this year in 2018, I'm going to be traveling, way more often than before. It means like I'm going to be attending like conference. I'm visiting a lot of tour operators all over Europe. I was attending the biggest golf fairs in France last month. So I would say like I believe like I could be the best ambassador of my company because, well, I will sell my company quite well since I know exactly what we're doing. And I'm trying to delegate. It's something like I'm learning every day. I still feel like I have a lot to learn because in the beginning it was not easy to me, to delegate, especially the booking department because we live from that. We don't make sales. We cannot pay the salaries, and the rents. But some point I thought like, hey, I need to take the risk. I need to hire the right people and then move forward,
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about, the situation in Spain. I lived in Spain for 3 years. That's where I went to university. And I still have a lot of friends there. And, they tell me that, it's gotten so bureaucratic and things like that it's hard to be an entrepreneur in Spain because of different regulations and a lot of filing stuff. Did you find that to be the case? I mean, it seemed like it came pretty easy to you.
Yeah, I would say I feel a very lucky person because everything was working smoothly from the beginning. But like I don't think Spain is a country where they really help to entrepreneurs. Like, when I set up the company, I was 28, 29 years. And I didn't have any help from the government. I have to pay, especially in the beginning, I was paying to myself like a very low salary, but still I was paying close to 50% taxes of my salary, which I think is way too much, especially, after coming from Singapore and Hong Kong, where in terms of tax purposes, are much more easier, like they make your life way easier. And, at the same time, like there are a lot of rights in terms of like when you're an employee, you have a lot of like medical leave, like days off, national holidays. So you never see that. I never saw that when I was working as a banker. I didn't even think about it. But now when you are the one who pays, the bills, it's completely different. You can see like average, if you're an employee in Spain, probably you can have easy like 65 days off a year, something like that. If we count like medical leave and your holidays and, bank holidays and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely it's not easy. Actually, one of the main targets, not yet because we're still small, but probably in a couple of years, I'm thinking maybe moving out of Spain since, like I'm going to be traveling a lot. The business is pretty online, so I can really run the business from, whenever I are. So wherever I are. So I might think in a couple of years to move abroad and trying to be more, tax, I will adapt to the situation. I will try to be more tax efficient, I would say.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah. I mean, if you look at, I think this will be the 90th podcast. So if you go back on, we've talked a lot about that kind of, the different ways that you can set up your company or where you want to live and stuff like that, and in order to have a lower tax burden and things like that. And it's a lot easier nowadays with location independence and things like like you've had this company set up, you can live wherever you want to and stuff. So there are options out there. Why burden yourself with things that's not necessary? So I did want to. Now we're talking about kind of the big picture of it. I did want to ask you more about the financing of it. You said you used your savings, and I think you also borrowed some money. So how does that work? Because you scaled so quickly. How were you able to do that? And maybe what are some options that are open to people that want to do this type of business, but maybe don't have the enough money to get started?
Mm-hmm. Well, I will give you an example. I have my younger brother who is 22 now, and he's doing his last internship with us. So she's studying hospitality, hotel management right now. So he decided to work with us, for a few months. Actually, I was not that agree because I thought like, hey, you are young, you should travel, you always have time to work with me. But well, it was his decision. So He's starting the same company as I own right now, just in a different location here in the south of Spain. And the way to start, at least as to my experience, is working on commission base in the beginning, where you can start, building your own money. Then step by step, you're having your savings. And at some point, if you are committed and it's what you're really looking for, you change your business and follow a little bit like the business model we have. I would say it's not for everyone because we take a lot of risk. Like I would say now in Europe, everyone is scared about terrorism, like what happened in Barcelona with the terrorist attacks, or in France a couple of times last year. And like I always think like, hey, what if something happened in the south of Spain and then I still have to pay all the rent and, have like really long, long contracts, and I make so many renovations and decorations. But it depends of, like what kind of entrepreneur you are, if you want to take the risk or you want to play more comfortable. I would say.
Did you get insurance for stuff like that?
I don't think in Spain you can get, for example, insurance. We have an insurance for if you have, I don't know, like not educated guys in your property and they destroy your apartment. We have an insurance for that. But I would say natural disasters or something like terrorist attack or something like that, there is no insurance in Spain. At least the companies I check it out, no option. And if you ask me like two things, like it really concerns about the future of my company. One definitely would be, security, safety, terrorists, because one of the main things, because Spain is booming right now, is because we have around 20 million tourists borrowed from France, Morocco, Turkey, Tunisia, all these countries where, like our guests, they don't feel comfortable to travel to. So they come to countries like Spain or Italy where you feel much more comfortable. You still have the sun, and you want to feel, at the end of the day, you want to feel safe when you travel with your family and friends. And the second, as almost everywhere, are the laws about short rentals. There is a lot of controversy in Spain with hotels and how hotels are blaming us because we're taking a big piece of the cake, and actually there are more numbers of beds of vacation rentals here in Spain than hotels beds, even if we have been only, vacation rental has been not that popular in Spain for so long. It's not like the US, they have been for many years. I would say here we are more like a young industry. So there are some areas like Mallorca, Ibiza, Barcelona, Madrid, where things are getting ugly in terms of like low, how many nights they're going to let you rent every year, the minimum nights, that kind of stuff. So for now, we don't have any restriction here in the south of Spain, but at some point it can come to here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something funny with that. Yeah, because laws are always changing. I'm always watching what's going on, and they structure them differently, so you never know what they're going to do or what exactly the law is going to look like. They did pass something here in San Miguel, where I am right now, San Miguel de Allende, but it's funny because it's like not enforced, or it's weird. And I even talked to the lawyer, and he said, "Nah, it's nothing to worry about." So, but yeah, it's the way I feel about it is, especially being an entrepreneur, when you're in new fields, you have all this new technology, disruptive technology, they would call it, and things like that. There's going to be areas that is a little bit of risky, people would say like gray area, and you just have to figure out if you want to do it, if not. And but there are going to be these frontier markets. If you want to participate, then there's going to be some risk involved there, and so you just have to figure out if you want to do that or not. Yeah, so that, I know that there's all kinds of different ways to fund things nowadays. I see that there's one company called Payfully, and they will actually give you the money up front for your future bookings. So if you had 10 places like this and you already have bookings, you could use that money in order to get another one, pay that off and stuff like that. Also, PayPal is giving no questions asked loans in like 10 minutes. They'll put money in your PayPal account if they see that you have regular amounts of income. So that's, there's some different options. I don't know if anybody has messed around with crowdfunding on these types of things. I suppose that would be another option. But yeah, I mean, with the amount of return that you get and how quick, the quick break even, getting I don't think that I don't know of any traditional banks or anything like that are going to give you a loan on this type of thing. But if you can find a private money lender, you can give them a pretty good return,
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I was attending a conference, a very nice conference that Heather Bayer organized in Toronto last year. And one of the interesting, like in the panel, one of the speakers, they were talking, well, it's a company, like they're working as a kind of a bank. It's called Clear Bank. I can send you details later.
Yeah, I've heard.
And they're helping to property managers like me who are willing to grow. So they, it works like a crowdfunding. So they can borrow you money. You can, like grow your business. They get a cut of that, and it can really help you to boost your business. My only concern, till today is like I was trying to, I was telling to myself like, hey, I want to grow fast, but at the same time, I want to have control of my business. So I didn't use any kind of resource like you're suggesting, but I know like there is a lot of like things going on out there as, crowdfunding, like banks, like willing to, if they think like you're, doing a good job and you have potential, they're willing to help you to grow, with them at the end of the day. Actually, we were saying, I talked to a few companies where they, for example, let's say Airbnb, like they pay you every time like you have the guests checking in. So after the guests checking in, they pay you whatever they pay for the reservation. And there are a few companies where they give you the money up front because they're already counting with a booking. It's good because you can use the money, to leverage and to use it to grow. But at the same time, I take a risk like renting all these properties and everything, but at the same time, I want to feel like I'm not using money that I don't really have, So from my point of view, like we are growing fast enough, but at the same time, I feel comfortable, with the situation that I have today. So yeah, I mean, I could grow faster, definitely yes, but like I'm 32 today, so I don't really need to grow that fast. I still have time, to make this company big and to keep doing things in a nice way. At the same time, we are trying to develop so many things. So it's not only, hey, I'm managing these 70 properties or 73 properties. It's all about as well the guest experience. We're focused, we have our main focus in 2018, like how we're going to treat the guests when they're staying with us. So we just hire a guest experience manager for 5-star hotels who is going to help us to offer much more than just accommodation. So we're offering now from fishing charters to gold green fees to, a massage in the in the property, or a private chef, or, like many services. I think like we're offering almost everything except their flight ticket. So I think a mix of both is good. We're investing a lot of money as well in all these extra services in order to make a difference. Because just to give you an example, when we created the company in 2015, there were around 1,600 properties listed here in Marbella, in south of Spain. While 2 years later, or 2 years and a half later, there are more than 8,000 properties listed. So the inventory multiplied by 5. So the competition is much harder.
But I wonder how demand, increased as well, because I think a lot of people are moving over to vacation rental things as well.
Yeah, no question. I mean, the industry is booming. People know that you can get, as you were saying before, you can get a good return. So why not doing it? And I completely understand. But at the same time,
I mean, the guests. I mean, I think a lot of people are worried about, I'm getting all this competition. Because, they are. And I think every market, there's a lot more people doing vacation rentals. But I think there's a lot of demand. I mean, there's a lot of people moving over to using vacation rentals rather than hotels now. So I think that demand is keeping up with, or supply is keeping up with demand pretty well. Yeah,
I'm agree. I'm completely agree. Because, for example, Spain is going to hit around 75 million tourists this year. So, year by year is like a new record. But at the same time, something like, I don't know what's happening before, but it happened to us last year in 2017. It was the fact that two companies approach us, two property management company approach us if we're willing to take over them. So it means they are not making the money, or I bet they are not, as happy as they were before. I believe it's because of the competition. So I believe like some small companies are willing to exit in the right moment before, they have too much competition, and then probably the value of the company, it will not be that attractive.
Yeah.
And
what I was going to say is what you were. I think that what your strategy is good in that a lot of people, when they look at all these new properties coming on, they think, oh no, this is going to be a race to the bottom. And I got in touch with you originally from the Inner Circle, Matt Landau's Inner Circle VRMB blog, right? VRMB, yeah. And and what he talks about, which I think makes sense, and I've seen him send out a few emails and things like that, is that rather than go on, going like, for instance, Airbnb is a very popular one for this, where everybody gets on because it's very easy, and then it's always you're fighting over price, so it's a race to the bottom. And rather than doing that, it sounds like what you're doing, and I think is a good model and a good strategy, is you need to be more upscale. You need to find, for people that don't want, they just want a room to crash at night. Maybe they want a full vacation experience and get massages and know that there's going to be somebody there. And then you don't have to fight over the price because, you have a business with a reputation that people know that, that it's going to be a good vacation experience. You're going to be treated well. And it's not just going to be, someone with a room that, maybe they don't know anything about vacation. Maybe they won't even be there, so.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. For example, when hoteliers, they want to regulate and they want to somehow kick us out of the business. I understand like it should be regulated because we should provide, if you're coming to Spain and you want to, we want to provide you a good impression of the country and the experience. It would be so important to provide a good service, to have a really proper accommodation. And I think many of these, for example, private landlords, like they're managing properties, they don't provide the kind of service. Like it should be, from my point of view, minimum. So I think it's very important. Like, okay, it could, it should be a regulation. You should have a regulation, but at the same time, we should provide a good service and provide, a decent, impression of the country. And, you were mentioning about Matt Landau and the Inner Circle. I have to say that I have learned a lot from it. And one of the mantras of Matt is listing site independence. And I think it's completely related to what we were talking before. If you're on Airbnb or Booking.com or any of these big listing sites, VRBO, whatever, you're competing with so many properties. So I think having your own website, trying to, being so well positioned is one of the key factors, because we are, we're doing well. Like we have close to 40% of our bookings are direct bookings through our website. And it's somewhere where we're, it's one of our main targets. We're investing a lot of money. We're spending a lot of time, creating helpful content, guides, trying to help a lot, the guests, and at the same time trying to rank very well on Google. And that is so important, because I think the vacation rentals industry past few years has changed a lot. And every year there are new things, new competitors, new technology. So you have to really know, what you're doing, trying to avoiding all these big listing sites where, okay, they help us, they help you to bring you a lot of clients, but at the same time, you pay a lot for that. The cost is very high. So that's why, when I talk to, or what I was saying before, my younger brother, and he's starting a business like this, I tell him hey, first thing when you start this business, you have to create your own website and take care of it, because whoever is going to be in your website is going to book one of your properties. So that is so important. So any investment you make on your website, it will be completely worth it.
Yeah. And where do you get started, or where do you get most of your traffic from? Because you get your website up there, and hopefully you get a good URL. Now, what do you think is the most effective way to drive traffic there?
Well, I would say we have a really big database at the moment, because we have hosted a lot of guests. So we have thousands of guests right now. So email list. So email marketing. We use a lot of email marketing, a lot. we have expanded as well our contacts in terms of tour operators. So let's say here in Marbella, in South Spain, we are a very beach destination, but we are with the south of Portugal. We're the top two main golf destinations in Europe in winter. So we decide to expand, a lot of energy, and we decide to close out of deals with golf courses in the area. We hired the biggest marketing PR golf company in the UK. So they're helping us to arrange from farm trips where we brought 8 journalists from the most important magazines in the UK. So we brought them here instead of, I felt, like paying for a space in a magazine and tell them like, hey, well, this is what you should write. It's okay, but I would rather choose like, okay, if you're going to write about me, why don't you come over? I show you who we are, what we do, what we offer, and then I don't have to tell you what you have to write. You will write on your own after your experience. So I think it's a much better tool to help other people and to let you know to your potential customer who you are. So we arranged that. We close, as I said, like many deals with golf tour operators. We attended this big golf fair in Europe. So, we're promoting the business in many different ways, but always trying to be really, really focused on, provide a good experience. So we have repeating guests. We have like the guests who are like booking again and again through our website. For us, it's a key factor.
Yeah, right. And so at this point, not the 40% that come off your website, but the other channels, what have you been having the most success as far as the other booking websites?
Definitely, like we're, if I'm not wrong, we're the biggest Airbnb account here in Marbella. And, every time we list our properties, we try to be as booked as we can. So we try to have a high occupation rate. But at the same time, we try, we think like, hey, how we're going to book the properties and how much it's going to cost us. Why booking, Airbnb is so important for us is because they charge us only 3%. While booking.com, they can charge you from 15 to 25%. It depends of how you want your property on top of the list. So the price you're paying to booking easy is, I don't know, like 5, 6, 7 times more. So, okay, we want to work with booking.com, but we want booking to, to help us to cover our gaps. But if you ask me, hey, we're going to pay your attention, I will pay my attention on portals, where they don't charge a lot to the guests. And the same business model like Airbnb follows. There is a few other companies, they're doing pretty much the same, where they charge, a regular fee to the traveler, like 6 to 12% to the traveler, and then 3% to the property manager. And we're really happy to work with them as well.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you also about some of the software that you use, other than the channel manager. I know there's all kinds of different softwares, whether it's PMS or personnel management.
Yeah, actually, it's a great question. Yeah, it's a great question because we just signed up with a new PMS and channel manager last week. We were using in the beginning when we started the company, I would say when we were managing only 10 properties, we were using like the Excel sheet. And we were doing everything like manual in a really old-fashioned style. And then we switched to a really small PMS, but it's quite limited. But it was so cheap in the beginning. I was taking care of every single penny. So we started with a small PMS, but somehow a few months ago we realized like, hey, we want to get a lot of data. And we cannot access to the data because the PMS we're using is quite limited. So we just switched to a new channel manager. It's called Rentals United. I have met them everywhere. So every time I go to any conference in Europe or the US, they are there. So they have a system, it's called Channelizer, where they're only focused on one thing, and is synchronizing with all the big portals all over the world. So the great thing is you get more exposure, because as soon as you start working with them, you are everywhere. You're in all the main listing sites. And I think you save a lot of time, because you can't imagine, like we're in many, many different portals, but we spend thousands of hours creating the listings, introducing the pricing, the facilities of the properties. So it was such a hard work. And even though we are not in many channels, company where, Rentals United is going to provide us. So we're happy with this move. Actually, we're going to start working like probably with them in 3 weeks. Now we're setting up everything.
All right. And anything? What about dynamic pricing? Do you use something?
Yeah. Same thing, like we were between, Rentals United, the PMS we're using now as well. They are collaborating with some of the biggest dynamic pricing companies, but we decided to hire a revenue manager. So actually, they're like really big star hotel here in Marbella. It has been like the most famous hotel for the last 30, 40 years. And we invested to hire the revenue manager. He started actually, today is Wednesday, so he started 2 days ago.
Nice. Okay, so rather than use a software, you have somebody full-time. I guess if you have 70-something units, I mean, that makes sense. But yeah, for people that don't know dynamic pricing, pricing your rooms and places is not as easy as you might think. The prices go up and down. Maybe if you have some open days, you want to price them differently. So finding out how to get, the most profit out of your room and the higher occupancy rate, it's a tough job. So a lot of people hire different or use different softwares. Right now I'm using one called Wheelhouse. And there's a few others, but you've decided, you had enough that it made sense to hire a full-time person. So that's, it's good.
Yeah, I think it's a completely worth it investment. When I was talking to my business partner, we're talking, it's like, hey, should we hire this guy, or we just get like a software? Because actually I heard good things about the software, especially from Wheelhouse or Price Labs. Or Beyond Price. I hear about them, and I know some of the property management companies like us, the countries. They're using the same PMS, the same channel manager, plus dynamic pricing software. But we decide like, hey, we want to have someone in-house, because it's not only, how efficient the software is going to be, but we believe like we could make much more marketing in terms of, like, for example, I went to a revenue manager course, and they were talking like they promote the properties in airlines, in Groupon, and Let's Bonus, that kind of, like companies. And my knowledge, my background, since I'm not coming from the hospitality industry, doesn't, get there. So that's why I thought like, hey, we should hire someone who is really well prepared, and whatever money I'm going to invest on it, it won't be completely worth it. Of course, you can do that when you have a certain volume of properties where you can afford to pay a guy like that. But I believe it's going to be completely worth it. And, after a couple of chats I have with this new revenue manager guy, it's a daily job, big hotels, they're changing like their pricing and minimum stays in a daily basis. So, and it's something like we have been doing till today, like every 6 weeks. So, it's when I realized like, hey, we're doing a few things, not really good, so.
Well, that's great, man. Yeah, I mean, there's another one that I just ran across. I actually had a phone call with them just a little while ago. It's called You're Welcome. It's like yourwelcome.com, and it's for people that kind of wanted to do things like you were talking about, offering massages, whatever. And people can. It's got they give you a free a tablet. You just have to pay for their subscription service, and people can just swipe their card, and you can set up all kinds of different services, a guide, and things like that. So there's all kinds of different services out there now. And another thing is, I think that for people that can design physical products, engineers and stuff like that, I think that there's a lot of things around this industry, because it's growing so quickly, that people can grow businesses around it. Offering physical products that would make smaller vacation rental people able to do things that bigger, just copy what big hotels are doing on a smaller scale.
Yeah. So. Definitely. Actually, it's so funny because, when we were talking about having this podcast, I asked you if I should prepare anything. Say, no worries, buddy. Like, everything will be so, natural, I would say. And you are talking now about You're Welcome. We started working with them last month. So now we have all the tablets in our houses.
Nice.
And actually, yeah. So it was funny that you mentioned it. Actually, it's going to be one of the keys, in order to cross-selling, to offer a better service to have all those tablets at home where we have all the helpful guides, the helpful content about our area. So we're explaining them, like local restaurants, local golf courses, like beach clubs, best spas, all that kind of helpful information that when you're a tourist and you don't know the area yet, is always very nice. Same thing, like we're planning, it's going to be a test this 2018, but we're moving to a new office in a couple months, and we're planning to have our check-ins in the office, or just the clients go straight, they do like a virtual check-in. So not having our concierge as we do today, because every time we have a guest arriving, we meet them at the property. So that is going to change this year, and that's one of the main strengths. I think like when we hire the services of You're Welcome, is because we are actually, we created all these videos where we explain you how to set up the Wi-Fi, the cable TV, the air conditioning, the microwave, whatever. So. And I think it's very helpful, because even if you offer a proper check-in, someone is waiting for you. Many times what happened to us, we explain them how the cable TV works, but the day after, when they want to turn off the cable TV, they already forgot. So then they call us again. It's like, hey, guys, like, can you come over and explain me how it's, and so many times we feel like it's not that efficient, because we're not a hotel. So we have properties all over the area, even if probably from one extreme to the other is like 15 minutes drive, but it's still, if there is traffic in summertime, so we waste a lot of time. So I think like having an app or a tablet like that is really helpful, because you will save time, and at the same time you improve the experience of the guests while you're staying, they're staying with you.
Yeah, and a lot of people think, they want to have a more personalized service, and I understand that, sure. There's something to meeting people and things like that. But also on the other side of that, the virtual check-in, you think, oh, that's impersonal. But a lot of people prefer that because they don't have to worry about, oh, is that person going to be there? What time can I show up? And all that. If they can do everything themselves, it's actually more convenient, and a lot of times the guests enjoy that better. So.
Yeah, I'm agree. The feeling we had, we closed around 3,000 bookings last year, and the feeling we had, people didn't really appreciate that much the face-to-face check-in. Actually, we had the feeling many times like, the guest is arriving tired, like they want to sleep, or they want to prepare, the food for the baby, whatever. So many times it's like, okay, you can explain me everything, but you feel like, hey, could you just, leave the property because I want to relax, I want to have a shower, I want to sleep, whatever. So it's the feeling we had. So that's why some point we decide like, okay, let's take it as a test. Let's try to have a virtual check-in, or they can rather, come to the office if they want to see us and see how it works.
Great. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that it's, you've really set it up now, very quickly, and that's great. Congratulations on that. I think it's a really interesting industry. And, now if you wanted to, you could just duplicate that. I mean, I don't know if this is what you're planning on doing, but, duplicate what you've done in other markets, and you kind of have like a scalable business model, because I think that at this point you're barely, it's not taking too much of your time, right? And you're kind of location independent, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think you can really scale a business like this. Actually, when we start talking, today, and I was telling you, like, I'm not willing to pay huge taxes here in Spain. So I was really thinking, it's like, hey, where I could move, where, I can duplicate the business, and at the same time, I can save some money on taxes. So probably in a couple of years, it will be the question that I will ask to myself, like, hey, where I would like to live and where it will be convenient for me as well. So definitely, I think the business model is very easy to duplicate if you're committed, and especially in the beginning, you have to work hard and you have to get a name and people start knowing you. But after that, I would say things are more, are easier, to keep growing and to keep things doing well.
Yeah, great. So now that I noticed that last year you were doing a lot of traveling. You said you're planning on doing some more traveling. So now you got your business set up, you're kind of location independent. So how's that been? I mean, that's a goal that a lot of people go for, right? Setting up the business so now that you can do what you want to with your time. So how's that been for you?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's what I always say. When I was a banker, I have to work like really long hours. I have a lot of pressure. I have only a few weeks off, and now I choose the time I want to work. I can travel a lot. I have to say, like, even if I travel a lot, I don't know, I spent a month off in this December. I was the whole month in Mexico with my family. But, you know, I was working every day, you know, 2-3 hours in the morning, 2-3 hours in the evening. And in the middle of that, I was diving. So for me, there is no money that can pay that. Having that flexibility that I can enjoy life, and at the same time, I love what I do. I believe the motivation of running my own business and doing something that I love is completely different than before. I mean, no question. So that's why I invite all, my friends or my brother when I see young guys, like they want to be an entrepreneur, or, I always recommend them, like, hey, you should at least try, how it feels. I see many friends, like, they moved especially to Switzerland or Luxembourg, in 2007, 2008, after Lehman Brothers. Many friends, they are bankers like me as well. And now they're settled there. They're making good money. I mean, no question with that, but they are not happy because they have a life where they don't like the boss. They don't like the job they have. They don't like the, gray weather they have. But
well, Switzerland is expensive as hell too.
Yeah. But, I think like all these kind of countries like Switzerland or Singapore, Hong Kong, they're worth it because the salary you make is quite good. But it doesn't make you happy, and I have many friends, like, I believe like they will switch, they will swap, and they will be in this situation.
Yeah. Nice, man. And so I'm curious as to what places, have you narrowed down any places that you're thinking about going, or you think looks at like that you like or that are good markets?
Well, I have to say that I know the Asia market quite well since I lived there many years. And actually, I just give you an example. Like, I remember when I first moved to Asia, I have a few friends that they purchased a few villas between a few friends in Bali, and they're making huge money renting short term. And the money they pay for the villas, for really great villas, they were not, much money. You will not even buy a small apartment here in Spain for the money they invested there. So I think there is still a certain number of countries in Asia where there are really, there are opportunities there. I would say, like Philippines, or, I have friends living in Myanmar right now, which I know that is really growing because it's opening to the world. And having like, start checking, which would be a nice destination to live and at the same time to run a new business.
All right, great. Now I want to ask you, for people that are maybe they're just starting out, maybe not even necessarily, well, we'll start with vacation rentals. With a vacation rental type thing, this type of business you're doing, how would you recommend that they get started learning, and who would you recommend that they start following and that kind of thing?
Okay, well, definitely if I would have to mention one person, it would be Malandao, because I consider him, from the inner circle. We mentioned before, he has this blog, called Vacation Rentals Marketing Blog. It's super helpful. I learned a lot from that. Actually, when I started, before I set up the company, I would say end of 2014, I discovered him on Google. So I started, I become a member of the inner circle, and then I was reading a lot, trying to know as much as I can, as faster as I can, to set up the business. Also, the cottage blogger is very, very interesting. Heather Bayer, like, she has like really grateful podcasts. I've been like listening pretty much all of them, and I think there are like around 220, and you can learn a lot from it. And also, I have been following a lot David Angori. He's one of the founders of SmokyMountains.com. I think he's one of the leaders of the industry, or he's the one for me who knows where we're heading to. So I have a chat with David as well once in a while. Try to know, what he thinks, where he's going, and definitely I would mention those three people if you really want to know what's going on in the vacation rentals industry.
Okay, great. And I want everybody to know, I'm going to link all these things at the blog. It's borderlessblog.com. I'll go check that out also at the bottom of the video here. Okay. Now, what about people, just in general? I have a lot of listeners that are in the States now. They work a regular 9-to-5 job, but they're trying to, find a way to do something, maybe not necessarily just in vacation rentals, but any type of entrepreneurial thing. I used to ask people this all the time. I haven't for a while, but what's the best piece of advice that you could give to somebody in that situation?
Something that you were mentioning, like people in the US, something that I love about US mentality, which is so different comparing with the Spanish one, is, like if you set up a company and for, any reason you fail, probably you learn the best lesson of your life. And I think it's something like people in the US, they really appreciate because, putting your resume like, hey, I was an entrepreneur and things didn't go well, whatever, it counts as a good experience. While in Spain, if you fail, it's like, I know, you're like the black sheep, So for me, like, like setting up your own thing, being an entrepreneur is something like, I would recommend to everyone because the motivation, the energy, the power, like, you show to yourself as well, and you put it into the company. It's very complicated to show the same thing, trying your best, when you're working for a big company or, and I think is at the same time, it's never too late, for being an entrepreneur. Like, for example, my mother, she has been working for Philip Morris for 25 years. And after she turned 50, she decided to set up her own company. And she's doing actually even better than me. So she's doing quite well. So for me, like everyone can be an entrepreneur. Like if you have the right motivation, if you're a fast learner, and, like it's what I said, like I completely recommend to everybody.
All right, Borja, great. Thanks so much. And again, go to vacationmarbella.com, right? And is there any other websites or anything that you want to direct people to?
Like pretty much, these three people I recommend before. Also, it would be very interesting. There is a website called Rent More Weeks. I check it out almost every week. And also, definitely, I would recommend, I follow on Facebook a company called Rentivo. And they post news every day. And they take news from the main influencers of the vacation rental industry. And every morning when I have my coffee and my sandwich, before I start working, is actually what I read. I read what they have posted that day. I check it out, and it's super, super interesting. Like I check it out every single day, so completely worth it to take a look.
Okay, great. I think that's good. So thank you so much for joining me, and we'll keep in touch.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to spend a few minutes with you.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks for joining us for the Borderless podcast, traveling, investing, and living beyond borders.